Very good morning, and today I'm in the small Hertfordshire village of Hexton, just next to the B655 BARTON-Le-Clay to Hitchin road, and I'm going to take a walk not along the BARTON-Le-Clay to Hitchin road because that would be suicidal. In fact, I wouldn't recommend cycling along there either. Cars go very fast, it's not particularly wide, and you'll almost certainly end up in a ditch by the side of the road. That's the doom and gloom over with. Now I'm going to take an alleged bridle path that goes about half a mile away from the Barton to Hitchin road. I have walked this before all the way to Pegsdon without any trouble, but I noticed at the Pegsdon end a while back that it was extremely overgrown, and I'm wondering if my memory of where you actually walk has diminished over the years and I took the wrong route. At the end of this video I will pop on the footage. I did try this morning to do the walk from Pegsdon to Hexton, but I basically got off track, ended up down a farm road and got quizzed by a nice lady who wondered what I was doing there because it was private land, which is fair enough. But she explained to me where she thought the bridle path was, and she seemed to think that it was still open for horses to get down, at least all the way from Hexton to Pegsdon. So I'm going to try and walk along it now and see how I get on. But thank you to that lady that I came across who sent me in the right direction, basically to the exit of her farm. No harm done. Now, Hexton is a small little village just to the east of Barton-Le-Clay, which is on the A6 in Bedfordshire. North of Luton by about 5 miles, I'd say, and east of Hitchin by about 3 or 4 miles. There's not a huge amount here, but it's quite a nice little village. But one of the main attractions of the place is the pub called the Raven, which I have frequented on a number of occasions and always had a very nice meal, and very nice, friendly, welcoming staff in there too. So it's probably a good place to start or finish your walk in these parts. And there's a good starting point or ending point for any walk. The Raven in Hexton. It's quite easy to park around here, and the pub has got its own car park, of course, which I'm sure you're free to use for a while, particularly if you're going to be a customer of theirs. It's still quite early in the morning, so it's not open yet, sadly. Anyway, if you're stood outside the pub, back that way is the Hitchin to Barton Road. We're going to walk down this way out of the village of Hexton and hopefully along a bridle path unhindered all the way back to Pegsdon. And we shall see. You can't drive down here. This road turns into a narrow farm track, and then if memory serves me correctly, it literally does turn into a bridle path. Another nice walk to do on another day is up that way. You will be walking along the road though, all the way to a small village called Gobion. There really isn't very much there, so it'd be walk there and walk back again. And of course you can also walk in a southerly direction outside of Hexton, up towards a place called Telegragh Hill, right over the hills, back down into Pegsdon. But I'm taking the bridle path and flat route today. just leaving the village of Hexton now. Very quiet and sleepy this morning. And this road goes down to more or less single track. That'll be put off by the national speed limit signs on the road, because if you come across any vehicles down here, you'll be most surprised. I think it basically comes to a dead end as far as cars are concerned, not far around this corner. And very unlikely to find anyone doing 60 miles an hour. So hopefully I'll be able to get back to Pegsdon now without trespassing into someone's private land. I did try and explain what I was doing, but I think she thought I was staking the place out to go and burgle it or something like that. There's another footpath that seems to have been allowed to. It's just about walkable, I guess, over there, but again, quite often these paths, if they're not used, are just allowed to grow over and become impassable, which I'm sorry to say I think is what most of the landowners actually want to happen. They don't really like people traipsing across their land, so maybe someone can comment on what the rules or the laws are on all of this, because I understand that if you can prove that a path across your land's not been used for 1 year and 1 day, you can apply to have it closed down. I've got no idea how easy it is to do that, and if anybody ever does do that, and then in fact how you ever prove that no one's been across there for 1 year and a day. But as with most of these things, just sometimes things are just allowed to kind of just die on their own, if you like, for want of a better term. Now, yes, I remember this from the last time I came. Rather nicely hidden inside that little copse or trees there, I believe, is a mini sewage works. I think if the wind was coming in the opposite direction, I would probably have known about already. We're now heading in sort of an easterly direction now towards Pegsdon. Sewage works go, I guess it's pretty in fact it looks like it's not even in use at all anymore. I don't know how long it is since that has been closed down. Looks like quite a while actually, but Anglian Water still seem to own it. So there is another route you can take if you've got a bit more energy and a bit more time. And in fact, if this path works out to still be here in some form, a good walk would be to come to Hexton, walk all the way over the hills to my right, Telegragh Hill, back round to Pegsdon, have a pit stop at the pub there called The View, and then walk back to Hexton for another pit stop. And that's a very nice walk, especially if this bit's working, because you can't really walk along the main road between Pegsdon and Hexton if you value your life, that is. It is really a lovely quiet walk along here, and as I say, even though it's a road, I think it just leads to this farmhouse at the end. But when I last walked down here, at least you could walk through the middle of, and without any problems. And a farm, and I believe there's a small watermill here too. Well, I've just invented that, so I shall have a look properly in a moment. Well, clearly this little spot on the road that leads into the farmer's field is a place where to sit here and, well, do whatever really, but I do wish they'd take their litter away from them once they've finished doing whatever it is they were doing here. The mind boggles, but that hasn't happened accidentally, has it? Rant over for the day. I do believe I can hear the sound of water running, so I think there is a mill here. Just entering into an area where it's someone's property now, so I'll switch to filming just for a moment, just in case it spooks them out. Oh, there you go. He's definitely what he's doing. A lot of that sort of thing in these parts. The chalk streams coming off the hills over there, the Chiltern Hills. There's a lot of them. It's fairly insignificant most of the time. Right, and here we have a central bed sign saying public right of way. So let's carry on. I guess that means we're still in Bedfordshire. Although Hexton is in Hertfordshire and Pegsdon is in Bedfordshire. Don't get me started on the postcodes and the phone numbers and things like that. But we're right on the border here, so you go from one to the other quite quickly. And there's a sign coming up. I don't remember this last time I walked down here either, so I was clearly not paying attention. Beautiful place to have your house and your own road leading up to it, and a lay-by where people chat rubbish, which would certainly get on my nerves. I'll be thinking about popping up a hidden camera up there and sending the footage to the local authorities. Mind you, if we did that everywhere people lob rubbish in this country, then there'll be a world shortage of hidden cameras. Okay, right, well, we're definitely going to take a right-hand turn here. And this is where it also, no, it's saying public right-of-way. And it's clearly marked as part of the circular walk. Now, the circular walk is the walk I mentioned earlier over Telegragh Hill, up over the hills between Pegsdon and Hexton, whichever direction you prefer, and then back this low level between the two villages. And if you put Pegsdon, Hexton circular walk into the internet, you'll certainly find this. So I'm very intrigued now as to where I'm going to end up once I get around there. Pegsdon is just over there. You can just see right in the middle of the picture in the distance. I think that is the view of one of my other videos, there's one that's Burton to Pegsdon via Deacon Hill, and that is Deacon Hill over there. That's a lovely walk. Right, so we're still a little way from Pegsdon, but we've come to an area here with a gate, and sure enough there's a gap in the pathway to get a horse through, so we're still on the bridle way. Way, no cars beyond this point. Good idea. I presume at one time you could drive all the way from Hexton to Pegsdon via that road and bridle way. To be going the right way. I don't know if it's old age or just stupidity, maybe a mixture of both, but I think I've worked out where I went wrong earlier on now, and where I'm going to come out. Where we're going to come out on the Shillington Road here is where I thought I'd started earlier on, where it said public footpath, the overgrown one on the failed attempt to get to Hexton. It's all become very clear now. Yeah, this has been quite a while since I've done this walk, so my memory of where you go must have diminished over the years. And we're going to come out onto the Pegsdon to Shillington Road a lot further down than I left it earlier on. Because over in the distance there, that is Pegsdon, and just you can see those hills. Down a path which was clearly marked as a public footpath, but with no indication as to where it was going. And I thought that's where you went actually to get to Hexton, but you don't really. You just go over that stile that you'll see on the video, and up onto the farm track where I turned right and met the lady who asked me what I was doing, when in fact all it really does going that way over there is lead you back up onto the Barton Road with no options really other than to walk along the Barton Road. So that's probably why it's overgrown. It's a fairly pointless public footpath these days. I think part of the problem here, worth noting, is when you come out of Pegsdon towards Shillington, that's where the circular walk goes. But there's no sign, or there's no sign anymore. So that, although there is a little bit of one on over there, but the road I think the best bet here would be to come to Pegsdon, park your car, have a cup of tea in the pub if it's open, walk up over Pegsdon Hills over there to Telegragh Hill, all the way round, back down into Hexton, which is just over there, and take the circular walk, the flat, the easy bit, along that bridle path back to Pegsdon, and coming out here on the Shillington Road and return back to your car Of course, don't forget to pop into the Raven on your way past for another cup of tea and a packet of crisps. And then you've got back to where you started and you can call in again. Sounds like a good day's work to me. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this walk. Don't forget to press subscribe or like if you want to see some more. And I'll see you again soon with another walk. And a very good morning. Today I'm going to be taking a walk from the small village of Pegsdon and the public house, which is now known as The View. It used to be called the Live and Let Live. It's been recently taken over, done up, and is a whole much better proposition than it used to be. I've not actually been in yet, but I have it on very good authority that things have improved massively in there. The previous management owners or whoever ran the place down pretty much, and it was quite an awful experience. But so if you're looking up pubs in Pegsdon and the Live and Let Live comes up, disregard that, look for The View. And I'm not advertising for them, by the way, just to say that now. But thankfully, because it's in a great spot in a nice little village. Now here's the thing, if you look that pub up, for example, and it will show a SG postcode, which is in Hertfordshire. It will show Pegsdon, probably as near Hitchin in Hertfordshire, but it's we're actually in Bedfordshire here and falls under the parish of Shillington, which is a couple of miles in that direction over there. And today I'm going to be walking via a pathway that runs parallel to the Hitchin to BARTON-Le-Clay road. So away from the road to the village of Hexton, and another favourite place to grab a bite to eat for me round here, the pub there called the Raven, which I've been to many times, and maintains a good standard of food, drink, and good quality service, and nice people when you get inside there. So always worth a call in either of these two places if you come on this walk. Now, Hexton is in Hertfordshire, although when you look at its address it will kind of indicate it's near Barton-Le-Clay, which is Bedfordshire. So we're right on the border here, and it can be slightly confusing, but both places, both Hexton and Pegsdon, are on the Barton-Le-Clay to Hitchin road. Which is quite a busy road and not really suitable for walking along. And you do take your life into your hands if you cycle along it as well. I've done that many times, and it's not particularly wide, and cars do travel at quite a speed down there, so it can be a touch dangerous. Certainly wouldn't do it with any children. Anyway, forgetting all of that, we're walking today, and this is the road between, just on now is the road between Pegsdon and Shillington. I'm going to turn off here to this path. Now, I have heard some rumours that it's become rather overgrown, so this walk might end before it's even started, if that is the case. So we'll continue on down here. There's nothing to suggest that it's been removed as a public footpath. In fact, there is a sign clearly stating as such. I'm not sure that post is all about. Probably had a little notice on it at one point. has got the air of being somewhat overgrown. Yeah, I'm starting to see what was mentioned here. Right, well, it looks like it's just essentially some brambles that have become a little bit more overgrown than, yeah, as they scrape my leg. Not sure how far down here we can actually go. Oh, wow. Yeah, this needs cutting back and sorting out for certain. Yeah, be a good place to come for some blackberries though at the end of summer. Now I'm just trying to follow the footpath here. Yeah, I have a feeling not too many people have been walking along here recently because the signs of people having walked fewer than usual. Anyway, I seem to have got past that little part of the walk there. And I can imagine as we move out of spring and towards summer and all the growth here, the nettles and what have you start to shoot up as they do, this may well become impassable, or difficult at least. It's a bit of a problem with fairly underused paths because they do rely on the regular passing of people and feet to tread it all down. Again, see this this tree here that's blown down in the wind is kind of crossing over the path a little bit. So we'll see how we get on. It's more of an assault course rather than a gentle walk. I might inquire later with the, well, I'm not sure which authority will be dealing with it, since we're literally on the border between Hertfordshire and Bedfordshire here, so that could be interesting. I'll post a note at the end of this video if I find anything out. Right, so once I've got through all these brambles and trees that have fallen over and so on and so forth, just to clarify, this is the Pegsdon end walking towards Hexton, and I've just come to this stile here. It looks to me like things are improving slightly once we get over there. So you come to this around about 200 metres from the Shillington Road. Well, this really has turned into quite an uneven pathway. I don't know if this is someone's back garden or what it is over there, but it's certainly very nice. A little lake and an allotment. I'm feeling that must be the grounds or garden of someone's house. Sometimes find that with public footpaths that are not used particularly all that often. Some of the locals that live in the area want it to become overgrown and unused so they can have it closed down completely. Paths can sometimes be a little bit of an intrusion on people's lives, and worse than that sometimes access to certain nefarious goings on that shouldn't happen. Now this path certainly has become very overgrown, and I can imagine, as I said earlier, that once summertime has set in properly, that these nettles and brambles, bushes and all things in general are going to be a bit of a problem. And now there's a tree that's completely across the path as well. The remnants of the storms we had a couple of months ago. Right, limbo time it is then. I'll clamber under it or climb over it, either way. Watch your head or any other extremities you may have, because it's likely to catch you. yeah, definitely I'm going to make some inquiries about this footpath if it's been taken out of use and not maintained anymore, because if that's the case, then that's going to be pretty much the end of it. If it now then, this is interesting. Well, this path will take us back to Pegsdon, I think. So I'm going to that'll bring us out onto the Barton Road. And this takes us off towards Hexton. This is slightly different from I remember it. Come a lot closer to the Barton Road than I was actually anticipating as well. I'm fairly certain this small road here, going past the farmhouse over there, becomes part of the little road that leads into Hexton. Strange thing is, I don't remember taking that detour over the stile in the past. I seem to remember keeping on more or less a straight line, but there wasn't really anywhere to go in a straight line. Not anymore, anyway. Certainly really nice along here. Oh. Little babies. Trying to keep warm. It's a very chilly day today, actually. Hey, there seems to be a distinct lack of public footpath signs once you leave Pegsdon. As I say, I'm going to investigate this further, and I shall post a note on YouTube as to what I find out. Morning. Dodge. I'm not really sure what happened there, to be fair. That roadway I was going down is a private road leading to a farm, so that's clearly not the way to go. So I'm still a bit bemused by what's happened to the public footpath between Pegsdon and Hexton. Now the lady I spoke to, who very politely told me I was walking where I shouldn't do, pointed out where the road or the pathway should be, or bridleway. So I'm going to go to Hexton now and try it in the other direction and see how we do. I think that's the end of that public footpath, although there's a sign still there. There's not really a way of getting through there anymore, which is a shame, but people are going across private land and doing stuff they shouldn't. It's not surprising really that these These pathways sometimes get closed down or allowed to go into disrepair. One thing that you do notice when you end up walking on a road, a country road instead of public footpath, is the amount of litter that could only really come from one place, and deliberately so, which is very sad indeed. But I'll leave the litter rant for another day, I think.